in case you missed it, this is from a report that Cowley had, and the little excerpt that they were aggregating was Cowley saying, unable to unload the oft-injured two-time All-Star, Zach LaVine, since last season, AK and Eversley need to do everything they can to repair a damaged relationship with LaVine and build him up enough to help them persuade other teams at trade deadline time. Logical sentence to me. I don't see anything, amiss with that. NBA Central kind of turned it into like the Bulls are actively trying to repair their relationship with Zach in a way that made it, the phrasing made it sound like more of a report of something new, as opposed to just like, hey, this is the situation that we're all dealing with right now.
Right, agreed.
On top of that, shout out to our guy Eli Schuster of Bleacher Nation Bulls. We had him on one of our recent shows, I think a couple weeks ago. He was writing something else, I think before this Cowley article even dropped, about how if you've been paying really close attention, like those of us who are Bulls content nerds do, those of us diehard Bulls fans out there do, you may have noticed that there's a lot of Zach LaVine in social media stuff that the Bulls have been putting out this offseason, and especially as we're nearing the end of offseason and gearing up for training camp.
Okay.
In a way that Eli's, a hypothetical proposal was like, is this me overthinking something, or is it a thought out plan or strategy of some kind from the Bulls front office and collectively all the way down through PR, their social media team, their content team, to remind Zach and remind the NBA world, hey, this Zach LaVine guy's still here, and we still like and appreciate him, and he's really good. Like, they put out a top 10 Bulls dunks of all time thing earlier, like a couple weeks ago. He was in it twice. And no disrespect to Zach, one of the best dunkers in NBA history, but I was like, Bulls franchise history? You tell me Zach's in there twice? We had MJ.
We did.
It was just one example. They also put him in their, like, good luck Bears tweet that went out, I think, yesterday morning alongside Kobe White. And I am a little, tinfoil hat here, but, like, it seems like there's a lot of that going on. And is it because they are, as Cowley said in that excerpt, trying really hard to maybe repair a relationship that's fractured with their star who they can't trade?
So I can't speak to it from the sense of like, I know this is what they're trying to do. I agree that it looks that way, but I think also it's just kind of as simple as, look, Zach is here. They can't trade him. They got to make this work. They got to figure out a way to make this work because this is the situation that they find themselves in. You can put aside the trade agreement request thing. You can put aside the trade shopping stuff from last summer. You can put aside the max. This is the situation that they're in right now, and Zach's going to be on this team right now. You got to make it work because there's no way for them to move forward where they're butting heads, where Zach's unhappy and doesn't want to play, where he's sabotaging the. I'm not saying he's going to do that. I don't think he will. But that's you can't just you can't let it get to that point because there's no way out at this juncture. They just can't do it. They can't make a trade. They've tried. They can't do it. So to me, it's like, let's figure out a way to make this work. Same as the trade thing. Like, okay, if this is the direction we're going to go, let's get in on it with you. Let's try to figure out a home where Zach's going to be happy. I think it's very similar in this situation where, okay, Zach's going to be stuck here. Bulls can't move him. Let's figure out a way to make this work together. Let's try to rehab this as much as possible. I'm not saying that the relationships are broken. I think there was also a line in this about Billy Donovan going to visit Zach in LA this summer and try to work on their relationship a little bit. I think this is just it. This is kind of where they are, what they have to be doing, because again, the only way out of this is Zach proves that he is a really damn good basketball player, which I think we all know he can get back to that point, but he has to prove it. And the way to do that is to get back on the court, to be in, have a good relationship with your coaching staff where they trust you, where you trust them, to put each other in the best situations so that you can look as best you can, so that then eventually you can move on when the time comes. But right now, this is where they are. And I think they just have to, both sides have to figure out a way to make it work as best they can.
Yeah. Have you ever had a fight with a significant other or even a family member and the apology isn't said, I'm sorry, or I apologize? They'll say something like, hey, you want something to eat?
Dennis Rodman going to MJ's hotel room and asking him for a cigar. Which is an apology.
Which is an apology.
In his own way.
Nonverbal, but extending the olive branch.
Exactly. Extending that olive branch. That's exactly what this is.
Sometimes you got to accept the olive branch.
You have to. And especially when you have no other choice. What else are you going to do? You can't hold that grudge because you can't go anywhere. This is what it is. So they're trying. they're reaching out in their kind of way. I didn't even notice that. You're right. Putting him in twice. Yeah. It's like, wow. But I get it. You know what I'm saying? I see it and I get it. You can't do anything with him. He can't go anywhere. There's nothing. They're kind of at a stalemate. You know, the league has told you what they feel about you. They've said it. And it doesn't matter if you guys want to get rid of it. It's just not going to happen right now. So you have to see it through until you can get to a point where the league actually opens that conversation back up, which will happen. That conversation will happen again, hopefully sooner than later. But that's what it is. They're extending that olive branch. Hopefully Zach sees it and reaches out. And, yeah, they have to start the season right. It's a line on the line for both of them optically to start this correctly.
BDB in the comments saying, Zach's been a stand-up guy. The bench bomb is back. I think it'll be fun. And, again, I think that bears repeating. Like, for the most part, I would say Zach LaVine has maintained a impressive level of professionalism throughout all of this. And there have been trade talks with his name attached to it for years years now. Yeah. And he's handled it well, I think, other than maybe a misstep here or there. I would say 90% he has handled it well when it's not a fun position to be in. Yeah. But you do wonder when it's, okay, are the Bulls extending an olive branch on their end to say, hey, we're so glad you're here. We like you. We'll do what we can, go out there and ball. Sure. If you still want to move, we'll keep looking for you. Mm-hmm. At the meantime, you just wonder how much of his ego is he willing to be bruised and for how long? Yeah. When it comes to this situation that he's in. And look, again, it's not tinfoil hat. It's just something I noticed because I was driving home on Saturday from Mich. I'm coming around 94 and then, the Chicago Skyway, Northwest Indiana, and what used to be a bunch of Zach LaVine billboards for his endorsement deal with Midwest Express Clinic, I think it is. Mm-hmm. Those billboards have all been replaced and it is still Midwest Express Clinic billboards, but it's now Kobe White's face on them instead of Zach LaVine's. Right. Kobe White also has a new commercial out for, I think, that same healthcare group, Midwest Express Clinic. I don't know if Zach ever got a commercial with them. It's like, I'm not saying that this is like a concrete, your team, my team power struggle, that we're going into training camp where Zach's still here and he's like, hey, this is still my team. Yeah. And Kobe White is saying, hey, your old news is my team now because of the season I just had. I'm not putting those words in either of their mouths. I'm just sitting here as a fan who's watching what's going on and seeing this saying, man, Zach's ego's got to be hurting. And how will that affect, as Eli also brought up in his write-up, like a hypothetical toxic locker room situation?
Yeah, I don't think that it's going to get there. I just don't think, like, the problem has never been, like, Zach and his teammates. I think that, like, this I don't want to, like, make any accusations, but this was the same thing that happened when Derrick Rose came back from injury and Jimmy Butler had taken over. It's like, is there going to be friction now? Whose team is it? It's like, this team is, like, not going to be in the play-in race. There doesn't need to be friction of, like, I think this is also a separate thing than what Brandon Ingram is going through right now with the Pelicans, where it's like he posted some, passive-aggressive Instagram about how he doesn't like not being appreciated. He didn't go to the team, like, voluntary OTAs. Yeah. Like, he is trying to get paid. Mm-hmm. He is trying to not get hurt this season because that will affect his ability to get paid. Sure. And he wants a contract commensurate with how he feels he is as a player. Mm-hmm. And how he feels is probably that same max that Jamal Murray just got, $208 million over 4 years. Zach's paid already. He's got 3 years of 30% max coming his way. So he knows what matters to Zach right now. And again, I'm not speaking for Zach. This is just my third person perspective looking at this, is like, for Zach, it's like, in order to get what he wants, he needs to play well. Yes. He needs to get out there and play well. Yeah. And not only play well, but prove that he can be a part of a team and still succeed at a high level. Because that's the knock on him. It's health, and it's, can he fit into a team and play winning basketball? Yeah. And I think, if anything, if you're talking about, like, bruised egos, like, that's what he has to have come away from the past year with, is like, this is not the Zach LaVine show anymore. It can't be. Right. And it's not about, like, Zach's not good enough, and it's not about Kobe White's, like, the guy now. I don't think that's it at all. I think it's, how does Zach be the best version of himself that also fits into a team system that helps a team win? Because that's what's going to make Zach look the best. And ultimately, that's what's going to make people fall back in love with Zach. And or it's going to be what gets him moved, which is I think what he still ultimately wants. So to me, I don't think that there's going to be any messiness within the locker room. I know Kobe and Zach really like each other. They've worked together for 6 years now.
Yeah.
They're cool. They're friends. Like Kobe and Zach get along very well. I also can see why it would be maybe like an awkward situation, but as soon as they get back in the locker room and they're playing, I think it'll be fine. Agreed. To me, it's more a matter of like, can the Bulls find a way to put Zach in a position to succeed and look good doing it? Yeah. That is the challenge that the Bulls face now up until the trade deadline. And I think, to me, it's like the Bulls have to kind of go out of their way to not just like cater to Zach and do whatever he says, but like make sure that he is in a role where he looks good, because that's going to help both sides get what they want.
We all silly like the mayor.